Hello and good morning. Yes, David and I are actually back on air after a little bit of an hiatus, but we're here and a full start last week. But it's so good to be back. Understanding spirit. I know we're going to be talking about all kinds of things, and some of you might not think, well, is this to do with spirit? Well, everything's to do with spirit, isn't it? Everything, and I don't mean this kind in the bottle. Anyway, on the other line from the beautiful island of Bute, I have my very good friend and colleague, David Parry. Good morning, David.
Morning, Ellen. As beautiful as ever here. Slightly overcast this morning, but the sea is it's turning silvery colour and it's very, very calm. So I think we're in for a pleasant wintry day.
Yeah, same here actually. It is very calm. Looking at the trees at the back, and they're not swaying in the breeze, so we've got a calm day as well. But it is overcast as well. So
Well, I mean,
it's
it
been
is
a
only
while since
February. I mean, it is only February. I mean,
we've been on air
if people
together,
want to
David.
go and waste their money in Benidorm, let them go and waste their money.
That's right. I agree. Totally agree with you. Uh, um, as you probably know, Anne and I, our favourite destination to go on holiday is Scotland, and there's not many places in Scotland that we haven't been, but and we've been to your beautiful island twice, and yeah, and looking forward to being there later on this year as well.
Well, we're looking forward to having you as guests, and yeah, I mean, the island's just amazing, Alan. And I think anyone and everyone that comes here realizes it's a very special place. I mean, it's breathtakingly beautiful. The people are lovely. Most of the mainlanders that come here are not, but there's another story there. Um, they come here and they think they can do whatever they want because they're on holiday. Thank you for raising the tone of the place. Why don't you stay on the mainland? But yeah, I mean, all are welcome. Just be nice.
Yeah, well, that says a lot about society, really, doesn't it? Um, we seem to be in a phase where it seems to be more the normal to be, I don't know, off with people rather than to be nice with people. But there are good things that happen as well. On our local news yesterday evening, on the estate at Friar Park in Wednesbury. Well, Anne and I used to live in Wednesbury, not far from the Friar Park Council estate, and it's always had a bit of a, shall we say, a rough reputation. But it does actually show you the goodness of people. Because there's this little boy and he's 6, and he's got a brain tumour, and they can't do anything for him. And he was in hospital all over Christmas, and he's just come out of hospital. They say they can't operate, do anything. So, it's like a terminal illness. And so the local community got a Christmas tree, all the decorations, fairy lights, everything. And yesterday they had Christmas Day for him. It was just absolutely incredible. So there is a lot of goodness still in the world. It's just a lot of times the bad things seem to take priority.
Oh,
That was good to hear, David.
well, that's a wonderful story, and I've absolutely no doubt there's a huge amount of goodness in the world, and especially in working people. What's getting up my nose this morning is the amount of golden cars they're giving each other in Dubai, and the people that piss on ordinary people. I'm absolutely sick of it. I don't know why us lot don't fight back a bit more. There's a delusion in the world at the moment. One day it might be me. Do you know something, listeners? It will never be you. You will never be a millionaire. You will never have a golden car. And don't you think it's just unfair that these people have so little regard for the society, culture, and people around them that they think they can ram their wealth into other people's faces? That just shows something completely dysfunctional and inhuman. I think working people have so much against them nowadays. Um, in terms of working contracts, working lives, housing, accommodation, poor diets. I mean, name it, it goes on and on and on. It's no surprise that they're grumpy and miserable and generally snotty, but that's not really the class that needs to be dressed down. It's the class that's doing that to ordinary people. I think it's a disgrace. And as I say, the real
There's a
mystery for me is why people don't say enough
lot
is
of
enough.
injustices.
Huh?
Well, the thing is, David, that eventually people do. You've only got to go back to when Germany was divided between East and West, and in the end, people weren't having any more of it, and symbolically, the Berlin Wall comes down. Now that's people power. But in the 21st century, it would appear that people have lost the ability to really show what they really think. It's like the society, even down to the monetary restraints and everything. Yeah, it's all about control, David.
Yeah, I think it's more to do with a common delusion nowadays that one day it might be you. I mean, there's almost like a spell that's been put over people. Don't buck the system, don't go against it all. One day it really might be you, but it won't be. It won't be. Maybe I'll win the lottery. You won't. Maybe I'll suddenly be one of the 8 richest people in the
Yeah,
world. You never know. You do know. You won't. And it's just not right. There's such a thing as right and wrong and social conduct. We're all human. And do I on one level object to anybody having wealth? Actually, quite frankly, I don't. What I do object to is the way poverty is being weaponized against the poor, and the fact the rich now build it into the system for, as you were saying a minute ago, for control. That's what I object to.
yeah, I totally agree there, David. And if you notice, very subtly, um, I'm just talking about our government at the moment and our society, but I suppose it does actually reflect across the world. There's more and more control happening in subtle ways, about what you're allowed to do and what you can't do, what you can say and what you can't say. Um, this thing about we're supposed to have free speech in this country. It's I don't know. I think we're living in a very mixed up world at the moment.
No, I don't think that at all, Alan. I think that just shows how lovely you are. I think it's all very, very horribly clear. We're being given less and less freedom in our so-called free-range existences, which never were, and we're being controlled and controlled and controlled more every year, and people put up with it. I find that extraordinary. I'm no socialist. I veer much more towards libertarianism. Excuse me, much more towards anarchism, which is very misunderstood, and the rich know exactly what they're doing in giving that a bad name. um you know I veer much more in that direction. It doesn't matter to me whether the big stick is called Tory or Labour or the people stick. A big stick used to beat people is a big stick used to beat people. I want people not being beaten. I want the big stick to be removed. But no, I think it's all horrendously clear. It's not confused. People are telling themselves it's confused because they don't want to face the fact they're really being more and more enslaved with every year that passes. And I suppose they don't really know what to do. And they won't take the first step of non compliance. I'm not going along with this, because that means you've made a stand. But unless you do, okay, look forward to your grandchildren being in manacles, being slaves, because that is what they'll be.
Yes, yeah, I can see that, and also, excuse me, I'm sorry. Also, very dear to your heart and to mine is the world of theatre, and even that is becoming harder and harder to put on. I'm not talking about the comedy side of it and what have you, but the serious plays where they're actually expressing views on what's happening. There's limitations put there, what you can do and what you can't do, and then there's this politically correct thing, and then people jump on the bandwagon and they use it for their own political ends, even though they're trying to say that they don't want anything political. I mean, the two-facedness of it is just unbelievable, David.
Well, I mean, that was a very, very clever link, Alan. Well done. I mean, yeah, that's opening up whole swathes of my
But
life.
Jimmy Young link.
A Jimmy Young link, and a classic one, a pure Alan Cox link. That one. Oh God. I mean, where do we begin? I mean, firstly, I mean, even comedy is under attack. I mean, comedy, keep people laughing. Get another pint and keep people laughing. That's not such a bad, not such a bad way of contributing to life. It's not the only way, but it's not a bad way. But I certainly, what they want to do, the powers that be, is control even the types of comedy that are now being presented. I mean, certainly in terms of, say, the two of the big ones in this country, the Edinburgh Festival, and the Camden Fringe Festival, and maybe that opens that up a bit more. They're mostly they're comedy acts nowadays, but they will be comedy acts of a particular type, and I find that incredibly depressing. There was one act a couple of years ago I didn't see, but I was told about, and won't be rude for the simple reason I won't be rude and I won't name names for the simple reason I didn't see it. Therefore, it's unfair to give too much of a comment on something you've not seen but heard of. There was some young girl who walked onto stage in some sort of Simone de Beauvoir jumpsuit and raised her fist in the air and said, I'm against racism, and everybody cheered. Well, number one, that's not comedy. That's sloganizing. And number two, right, so what? Do you think that's going to make a difference
Yes.
to the global struggle for fairness? Of course it's not. So you've had your 5 minutes. Good for you. Get off. But it shows that even comedy, the great release, the great blessing of humankind, and certainly from the arts, even that's under threat. I mean, the bigger worries are the National Theatre, which regularly has a third of its seats empty now. But that's the National. And it's just a concern because on one level audiences are changing, and expectations are different now, and actually the theatrical side of me finds that very exciting. I don't find that depressing. I find that a challenge. The gauntlet's down. What do we do to meet the new interests, the new concerns? In what way? That the director side of me, the playwright side of me, the writer side of me is very excited by that. But we have to admit people are changing, audiences are changing. What do they want? What are they looking for? Can we still do the types of hard hitting theatre that we used to do? The answer to all of that is yes. But and pay our, doff our caps and pay our respects to the theatre of the past. People are still people, and that is a genuine outlet. Theatre isn't as safe as a movie. A movie, I mean, people don't even go to cinemas now. They sit at home. Do they realise they're being imprisoned in their home? And it's not whether you want to go out or not. You've got all the services in your house. Stay home like a little hamster. Don't try and go out, to the big world outside. You will find it frightening. Again, it's another type of control that's creeping into the system. But theatre's dangerous. You turn up. I think I've said this on your show before. You turn up. There's a row where somebody's too slow taking a coat, and then some weird woman sits in front of you with a head 5 times too large for any normal human being, and you can't see the stage. But instead of thinking as they used to do in the past, that's part of the fun of it. What they do now is moan, and they don't realise it's an experience. And of course, there's nothing more dangerous than having live action in front of you with actors who are beautifully trained, know exactly what they're doing, and maybe throwing some dangerous ideas around. Because that will get you thinking, that will get you angry, that will get you sad, that will get you inspired, that will give you courage. And dare I get conspiratorial and say maybe that's one of the things that the powers that be simply don't want at the minute. Sit down and watch Coronation Street. Some of the
Hi,
storylines.
David.
Huh? Hello? Hello?
Hello.
Did you
Hi,
hear any of
David.
that? Did you hear any of that?
I didn't. After all this time, and there isn't anything logically that should stop us from talking. And my internet connection is there and everything. Yet, from my side of it, it's very hard to hear you. You say,
You keep breaking up, Alan. Is it available?
yes, yes. I don't understand why, because my connection is there, but I think the
It doesn't
gremlins are
seem
getting
to
me,
be.
David.
It doesn't seem to be broadcasting anyway, because we're checking. Where's it being broadcast?
On my YouTube channel and my Facebook profile,
Right, we'll check
and
again.
on Twitch.
Right. We're checking again.
Okay.
Right, no, we
Sorry,
found it. We
folks.
found it.
My regulars should be used to this by now.
Yeah, we found it and it's broadcasting, Alan.
Oh, that's good. Excellent. Excellent. And I'll be sharing it afterwards. But have you noticed, David, whenever we come on, there's always a connection problem of some kind.
Well, I mean, that's on two levels. We're all ordinary people struggling with resources, and also in your particular case, I'm convinced, as you are, that negative energies don't want this type of conversation to take place. So we're battling against two things.
I agree. I agree. I mean, like I said to you the other day when we was talking privately, you had a problem with your phone, and you messaged me, and I said yes, same here, and I hadn't messed with the controls at all, and my sound, first of all, my sound was taken off, so I couldn't hear anything, and then and I solved that, and later on, all my calls were going through to my answer phone, and I checked the settings, and miraculously it had gone to no calls to be received, and if that isn't interference by negative energies, I don't know what is.
Well, yeah, I mean, anyone that's, I mean, this is getting into the world of spirit. Anyone that knows anything about the world of psychics or the world of spiritualists will be very aware that talks about energies are not frivolous. 90% of our dealings with these energies are positive and beautiful and uplifting, but we mustn't forget there's the dark side of all of this. And yes, there are, it goes back to Swedenborg, a man that's had huge influence on me. He would have said that there's a battle every minute of every day, the good angel and the bad angel on our shoulders, by which he thought you're looking at influences from heaven and influences from the hell worlds, literally trying to overwhelm us as human beings. The heavenly energies are trying to lift us up and say, keep a clear mind and, a loving heart. But there's an assault from the other side as well. And it depends, how things are going and who we're veering towards. Now, he appears, when you're looking at someone of genius, it's very difficult to say what they mean. So he appears to be saying that we're in the middle of a battle of spirits. But even if he's getting at something deeply psychological, that doesn't mean that mechanism, it doesn't mean that insight is worthless. It means that there are two centers of information, there are two moral powers at work with us all day, every day, and we are being pulled in both directions all the time, and it's up to us to deal with it. And I think it's very short sighted of modern people who just want to get to Benidorm. Get to Benidorm. Do you think it will solve any of your problems? No, it won't. Have a nice couple of weeks. Good luck to you. I'll give you a hug at the airport. But please don't then think it solves your problems. It doesn't. You postpone them. You postpone them because we live in a bigger context, a wider world where these things, the world of energies, is very real. What do you think, Alan?
No, I totally agree. And the more you see, such, shall we say, conferences like that you, David, organised with Dan, the anthropology conference. Some people might see it as fanciful. Some people might see it as mystic. Some people will see it as delving into the history of the planet and finding the truth that these creatures did exist. But it's amazing, if there's no truth to it, why is it so difficult to get it to happen? You always do get it to happen, David, but it's never without a struggle. It's like there's always energies there trying to delay or to end it. Now we've got this year's coming up, the end of October, as it always is, and I know shall we say, the thoughts and troubles of getting it together. People don't realise the amount of work that's involved in it, and it's very thought provoking conference, and there should be more and more people wanting to delve into what's going on, because it isn't just about giants, it's about what goes on in mankind, down on this earth now and in spirit. And I think a conference such as yours is very important, and I feel quite privileged to be part of it. And I just want more and more people to realise that it's worth listening, worth going, worth making a debate about what the other people who are contributing to it have to say. I hope you agree with that, David.
Well, thank you for that. I mean, the Nephilim Anthropology Conference is the last weekend of October every year. And it's also a lot of fun. You meet some interesting people. You have a good old chinwag. There are always refreshments. And this year it will be on the island of Butte where we live. So you've got the stone circles, you've got the beauties of nature, you've got the sea, you've got all sorts of wonderful things. We've got two huge names in the world of evangelicals coming over from America, friends of ours, and there are a lot of people over there trying to stop them. People with narrow minds and no education. They were making their feelings known yesterday. They don't know me from Adam, but they're passing judgment, and they don't know what the conference is, but they're giving their five penneth worth anyway. Absolutely disgraceful. But that's the level of ignorance you're dealing with nowadays. Yeah, I mean, for me, it's psychological. I mean, do giants exist? Well, as entities of the mind, I've absolutely no doubt. I might go as far as energies. There are titanic energies in the world, but for me, the whole thing rests on some type of psychology. So that's one of the strands that we're looking at. But the whole point is you've got a breadth of views, and as I say, including this year, a Christian evangelical view from Derek and Sharon. Hang on, where's it? Gilbert, Derek and Sharon Gilbert, who live in Ozark in America. I've gone bunged up, excuse me, Alan. And very, very big personalities over there in that world. People with big hearts and very clever people who want to give us that particular insight. So it should be really something unusual and very, very, very telling this year. What do you think, Alan?
Very much so. And what you said there about um, giants in spirit, the work that I do and and does with me, many times clearing negative energies. I've come, well, I'll say face to face with these giants. I'm not as tall as them, but excuse my levity. But yes, I've seen them quite a few times. I've had to deal with them quite a few times, and I'm under no misapprehension that they're there, that they exist, and that they existed. But as you say, it isn't just about the Nephilim, because the conference, although it's the Nephilim Anthropology Conference, it actually joins up with lots of other things, with the history of the planet, with people, with other aspects of spirit, even going out into the universe about what's out in the universe. So it covers a great deal, doesn't it, David?
Oh yeah, I mean, each speaker has their own take on this mystery. I mean, it originated as a biblical mystery. Very strange stories in the Bible. Yes, there is a openly religious and spiritual element to all of these stories. I'm completely against those other conferences that are trying to pretend that isn't there. What do you think these stories are and where they originate from? And they're trying to make it just about aliens and spaceships. Okay, so aliens and spaceships, then what? They never follow it through. So there are metaphysical dimensions to all of
Yeah.
this. We are unique in saying, this originates from the Christian perspective, but we want to hear what other people are saying as well. That makes us unique, and that's why some of the born again evangelical mob in America wish we'd shut up. And also, so do a lot of conferences in this country. They wish we'd keep quiet and go away so they can give you one view and you turn up with your ticket and sit down and shut up and you'll be lectured to for all afternoon. We don't believe in that way of doing it anyway. We believe in something more interactive. Excuse me. you know, we pride ourselves on getting speakers who can talk to audiences, not just lecture them. But yeah, you'll hear all sorts of views, all sorts of stories, and that's the strength of what we're doing. What do you think, Alan? Hello?
I don't know if you can
Hello?
notice, David, but my connection keeps going in and out.
Yeah,
Hello,
I've
David. Can you
noticed.
hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now, Alan. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I've no idea why. I mean, I'm looking at this connected. There's no logical reason for it, except for the illogical, which we both understand. Going to the point about the Nephilim and people who are skeptical and don't believe, then they need to look in the Bible. They need to read in the Bible. If you're doubting the existence of the Nephilim, it's like doubting the existence of Jesus and God, because I know the Bible is a book about different people from history writing there, so it's there for always what went on 2,000 odd years ago, um, and yet people are always trying to find a way of discredit. Why is it in some countries it's actually a criminal offence to be Christian? It's a criminal offence to worship. Um, these are the acts of the devil. I don't know if you agree with that.
Um, I have to think about that one. I mean, certainly, I wouldn't agree that if you don't believe in the Nephilim, that reflects on the rest of the Bible. I wouldn't agree with that. Um, I can see where you're coming from, but I personally wouldn't go down that route. You know, I mean, the Bible is lots of different types of material. The Old Testament is Hebrew, and it's the history of the Hebrews, the art, the culture, the beliefs. The New Testament, of course, is the story of one man, Jesus Christ, our Lord and Savior. Um, so you know, and I mean, there are a number of books. Depends what tradition you're coming from. Some of the extremely narrow and uninformed evangelical traditions say there are 66 books. Well, that really depends what you're including and what you're not including. Catholics have more than that. The Orthodox churches have more than us. Um, you know, by about 44 authors, maybe there are more authors than that. The difference being is we think they're inspired. They're inspired writers. Certainly, in some countries to this day, Christianity is persecuted, and maybe more than ever nowadays. But you know, so is Islam in some countries. So is Buddhism in some countries. You know, anything that leads people into a greater understanding of themselves is something the powers that be simply don't want. Um, Therefore, you know, are we ultimately looking at a struggle on the you know, in the realm of metaphysics between good and badness? Yes, we are. But you know, we needn't look that far up. We look in front of us to see what's happening and how these things are playing out in ordinary life. Certainly, anything that gives you a greater sense of your own worth, your own value, consciousness itself, that is now under attack. You know, is anything to make people, ordinary people, think they're just bags of chemistry. Get to work, do as you're told, die, get your children replacing you. This is evil. There is no other word for it. This is evil. It must stop. And that's really, I think, what's under attack. Christianity in the hands of some people has done great wrongs, and there's no way around that. And we have to admit that honestly, and ask for forgiveness. But Christianity, when it does great right, I think equals and goes further than all the other faiths. And that's what we have to look at more.
Yes.
No, I mean, it's quite conceivable you could disagree. I mean, don't forget the Nephilim stories are officially a biblical mystery. So, on one level, who knows what they mean? But no, I wouldn't agree with that. That if you disagree, if you don't think there's much of those stories, then the rest goes out the window. I don't think that. Because the Bible itself can be read in many ways. It might be an allegory, it might be old myths, it might be legends, and all of that's good and all of that's true. But what Christians are saying is it's not only those things. There's an extra element. There are extra facets to all of this. Um, and that's true as well. That's good and true and very, very profound as well. Um, but, to say there's nothing to any of it just shows you've no brain. What do you think, Helen?
No, I totally agree with you, David. Um, it's all right. Excuse me. I'm sorry. Um, I've just been asked a question in the chat room. Good morning, David. David Morrissey. Thank you for joining us. He's just asked me whether I've got another book on the horizon, and my computer's taking that long to write the answer, so I'm just telling you over the air. Yes, I have, but it's probably going to be about a year before it's out there. But yeah, uh, sometimes. I mean, you, David, you're a prolific um, um, book writer, author. You're quite prolific. Uh, with me, I just have to be in the right zone. And since I wrote my first one, I don't know whether it's spirit just saying, well, you needed a few years to go by, so to formulate what I'm actually going to write about. Um, but the answer is yes. There is a second book on its way, but it could be about a year before it's finished. Because you've got a book and a play, haven't you, David?
I have had 70 items published. Um, I have
Yeah,
three
no, but
books
I'm
to
on
date.
about now. For now, I mean.
Oh yeah, I mean, I was privileged to sign with Indigo Dragon, the amazing Gwendolyn Taunton, and her new imprint, which is devoted to serious literature. She's publishing my first official play. I mean, I've actually written quite a few, but the idea is they're published when they're being performed. And of course, my new a play of mine is being performed this coming August in Camden in London. So, following the old tradition, she's publishing my play Women in Mayhem, which will be performed as part of the Camden Fringe Festival this August. So, yes, sorry, Alan, I was fishing to see where you were going with that one. Um, yeah, I mean, as I said the other day, I'm a priest that writes about
No, it's
theatre.
all right.
Yeah, and you're a priest that writes about healing. If people get us
Yes.
wrong, then they're not looking at what's in front of them. And therefore, part of the secret is the different passions. I mean, if you're not bouncing around in theatre, there's something wrong. So that gives you energy. It makes you want to, prolific. Yes, okay, I'll accept that. But there's a reason, because the magic of theatre needs to be defended. And why do you take time with these projects? Because you're dealing with cases, and you've got to make sure people are okay about you talking about them, and you're dealing with actual phenomena, and you're dealing with biographies, and you're dealing with personal histories, and that's why these things will take their time. And you've also got to select the different case studies that you want to bring to a book and what they mean to a readership. So yeah, I mean, more power to you. It will take time, but it will be a great read.
Well, yes, you see, somebody who hasn't written a book, a story, or hasn't felt the need or thought that they couldn't get a book published. It takes a lot of I don't know what the right word is. Fortitude, a lot of soul thinking, a lot of energy, and of course you're putting yourself out there, that people will either agree or disagree with you. But the way I look at it, you can only you write what you see as is right. And okay, it can be controversial sometimes. I accept that. But if you're writing it for the right reasons, because when it comes down to it, we need to share thoughts, ideas, and events. And I know with the media today, everything seems to be instant. With Facebook, Instagram, X as they call it now, and all the other platforms. And then, of course, you've got the radio and the TV. And some people think, well, why have books? But there's something different about having a book. There's something different about actually reading a book. I don't know if you would agree with that, David.
I think you're far too hard on yourself, but I think that anyway. Yeah, books are magic. They'll never go out of date. But also, God, that's me being less of a luddite than you for a change. I've nothing against Kindle. I've nothing. It's text. It's text. It's somebody's testimony. It's somebody's witness. It's somebody's personal story. And 9 times out of 10, they're worth listening to. And yours in particular is worth listening to. No, what? But people must be patient. Whether you end up writing stories or not, I don't know. To be honest, I just hope you concentrate on the healing aspects of what you're doing, because you've got book after book after book to bring out, which people don't realise. I mean, you've been doing all this for so long, and you've been doing it successfully, and very few people would argue about the power of the gift that you have. So, I mean, I'm looking forward to volume 10 of Alan Cox, the memoir, because there's a lot
Right.
to say there. There's a lot to say. So,
Okay.
I'm not going to discourage anybody from writing stories, but I
I bet,
would
I,
humbly.
I bet a lot.
Hello.
Hello.
Yeah, you went, Alan.
Hello.
So
Sorry, you went off then.
right. So, yeah,
Yes,
I'm
it's
looking.
okay.
I'm
I am still
hoping.
here.
I'm hoping.
I was going to say,
I'm hoping. I'm hoping you focus on the healing and the psychic stuff, because you've got so much to say there. I think it's something we can all look forward to.
yes, indeed. I'm going to have to lock myself away in a room for a couple of years, aren't I?
Well, no, it's where it's part of your lifestyle. I think people make a big a big mystery of all of this. What's the mystery of writing? You find that time of the day when you're in the zone, and you make sure you make it part of your lifestyle. There we are at the end. If you're going to do anything seriously, people
Yeah.
don't think it's odd that if you do that with a gym, you get results. I'm part of the 4 a.m. club. I'm going to gym every day at 4 a.m. when nobody's there, and I can use all the right equipment. And now I'm healthy, and I'm good looking, and I've got all these muscles. Yep, that's because you've made it a part of your lifestyle. There's magic to it, but the magic is called discipline. So, if someone wants to write, and you know me, you know my attitude, everyone's got at least one book in them. No, it won't be. It won't ever come into existence if you don't have the discipline. Find the discipline,
Yes.
fit it into your life. Don't make it this big,
Well, when I
horrible.
wrote, yeah, I got up every morning at 6 o'clock and wrote and did my writing between 6 and 9. Every day, 7 days a week for 6 weeks to complete that book. I think it'll be different this time.
Well,
But
again,
I
I
find
still.
I don't enjoy getting up at 6 o'clock anymore.
Yeah, but that just means you find a different way to get it into your life. As I say, people nowadays just want things falling out the sky, Alan, and that's why they get nothing done.
Yes,
They're given these unrealistic pictures by
yes,
Hollywood. Some silly young girl who's basically 19, who's also a highly qualified nuclear physicist. It's fun. It's a movie thing. It is not real. You know, and if people realise that, I can do this, and they make the necessary preparations in their everyday, like you did, as you did, then look at the result.
yes, exactly. Now I am getting back in the zone again for my second book, and uh, Anne is encouraging me a lot as well, and so work has started on it. So it will be out there. It will be out there.
Well, with some of the stories you've told me, it really should be. It really should be out there. And maybe it's more than one volume. Now that's exciting.
Yes, indeed. When when I look back at my time since I was awakened to all this, and you take it in your stride kind of thing every day, but then I look back and I think, wow, how did that happen? Um, why was that challenge brought to me? But one thing that I have found in this, David, and I very much include you, I would say at the top of the list, is the incredible people that I've met and become friends with, and how genuine a lot of people are. And we talk about the bad side of of this world, but there is a really good side to it as well. And the more and more people put out there the goodness that is there, then we've got every chance as a human race to survive and to prosper, and to meet everyday challenges, and to make it a better place for everybody. So I feel very blessed in that sense, David.
Well, we're very blessed people. I mean, people are frightened because this is a tense time globally at the moment by people who are manipulating situations to their own ends. I'm thinking primarily of Boris Johnson. I thought the interview with Tucker Carlson and and Putin, Boris, where did that come from? Well, Boris Johnson and Putin was incredible. Where basically it's coming out now that the Russians were going to make a peace deal with the Ukrainians, and Boris Johnson put a stop to it for his own ends. And so we've got to stop trusting maybe people who are overt liars, who's been proved again and again and again. Get some decent people into politics, take responsibility ourselves, and maybe then the world for our grandchildren really will be on the verge of something worth inheriting. What do you think, Alan?
No, I do agree there. I mean, what's going on in the Middle East at the moment is absolutely abhorrent. It's terrible. I do understand why it started, but it's gone too far, and there's so many innocent people that have perished. And of course, I tell you what, the media is very guilty of is that they, in some ways, they can inflame it by okay, things need to be in the open to a point, and we need to know what's going on. But the media can push it to that's all that's going on in the world. After 2 years of fighting in Ukraine, now you really have going on there, where it was just all over the news all the time, and it's almost like people become anaesthetized to the fact that it's human lives that are dying, and what for? Because in both cases, the Gaza war and the Ukraine war, it's all about a power struggle, about a person or a group of people wanting to control people. And we go back to the beginning of what we were talking about, really, of this conversation when we started the show, is that why do people have to control? Why can't we all live in harmony with one another? I think this is one of the things that mankind was put on the earth for, is to try and sort it out so we can live in some kind of peace. And if you agree with that.
Believe it, I'm going to get highfalutin for a minute. My sort of philosophical default line is always Friedrich Hegel, the great German idealist, who said a real tragedy isn't between right and wrong. A real tragedy is between two rights, two goods. That's what I tend to see, excuse me, in Gaza at the minute. I mean, the Jews were attacked, but they were attacked for real reasons, and now the Jews were defending themselves. The Israelis were defending themselves, and now it's getting out of control. But fear is one of those terrible spirits of fear are in that part of the world. So everybody's frightened of everybody else now. If ever there was a tragic situation, that is it. It's hard to know what to do, and it's hard to know where it will stop. People are more afraid of that one, I think, for the simple reason that could drag the whole world into it. It's highly unlikely the Ukraine problem would do that. But in the case of the Middle East, it is a possibility that the whole world could be dragged in. So I imagine I'm no friend of British media most of the time, but I imagine that's why the emphasis has shifted. I disagree on one thing: that they never go far enough with the truth. The truth is the truth, and the truth must be in plain sight. Not to a point. Not to a point. It must be in plain sight so we can all make judgments, our own judgment about what's going on and what the reasons are. Um, and unless, because that's what adults do, and that's what adults should be required to do, we need to, the British media too. I wonder how under control it actually is. I'm not a conspiracy boy by any stretch of the imagination. That's that Paulo Batelli. But, but the way certain stories are handled by the British media, by Western media, is really deeply, deeply, deeply suspicious. And we've got to start saying, well, okay, how free and fair minded are they? And are they being that? And are they really asking the pertinent questions? Or are they just pretending? Is it just some sort of cheap play, cheap theatre, where they trying to look like they're doing it, but they're not actually doing it? No, I mean, we've got to have more faith in each other. I know you think that, Anna. More faith in each other and our humanity, and our friends and our loved ones, and in those that come after us. But what are we going to leave for our children and grandchildren?
Yes.
This is not a trivial question anymore. And British
Yeah.
people need to get their head out their arses, stop worrying about Benidorm, and start. Don't they care about anything anymore? There's a great deal of goodness in this country, which is stifled now by cheap pleasures, So don't they care? Don't they care about the people they love? At the end of the
Yes,
line, of
I
course,
agree.
they
I
do.
do agree.
At the end of the, at the end of the day, they do.
Yeah, I totally agree. We won't be on air next week, will we?
No, no. Dan and I go
You've
to
got church.
yeah.
I'm sorry, can you hear me?
I can hear you now again, Alan. Yes.
Right, okay, yeah. I know because you've got a church commitment on the third Sunday of the month, haven't you?
Yeah, every third Sunday of the month we're at the High Kirk with our brothers and sisters there.
Yeah, okay. I must admit, it's really good to be back on the air again. And I know the Gremlins have tried again this morning, but they haven't succeeded. But as always, David, it's been a real pleasure. And so we should be back with everybody in 2 weeks' time.
Yeah, looking forward to it, Alan. Always a pleasure speaking with you. A lovely thing to do on a Sunday.
Yeah, and I want to thank the listeners very much for being there. And David in the chat room, thank you as well, and thank you for enjoying reading my first book, as you put there. It's very kind of you. Thank you. So, God willing, we'll be back with you in 2 weeks' time. So, from the depths of Staffordshire, I say good morning and have a lovely day. And I hope you enjoy your day on Butte, David.
Yeah, have a great right, Wellington. Enjoy yourself, and you too. You and Anne have a lovely day, Alan.
Yeah, and you and Dan, you take care now. Okay, I am going to try and end the program. See, the secret is there. It says end stream, but it doesn't do it straight away.